Hi, I'm Ben Ferguson, and welcome to your AMAC Weekly News. First up, last week, President Donald Trump was diagnosed with coronavirus, and the left pretended to have compassion, then on live television, fantasized about his death. We have the video to prove it, and I'll show you that in just a second. Up next, the president gets out of the hospital, and instead of celebrating, the left is now focused solely on the fact that Donald Trump took his mask off on the balcony of the White House, the place that he calls home. Well, guess what? We have the left caught doing the exact same thing, but not at their house, actually in public spaces. More on that in just a moment. And finally, Bob Carlstrom, president of AMAC Action, is here to update AMAC members on the latest poll numbers for the upcoming presidential election. But a quick reminder, if you haven't shared this video with your family and friends and you want to irritate the left, hit that share button right now. Your AMAC Weekly News starts right now. President Donald Trump was diagnosed with COVID-19, and the left and the media had nothing else to do but to fantasize about him dying. Here is what MSNBC focused on while the country should have been praying for the president, but instead they wanted to fantasize about the possibility that Donald Trump would no longer be the president of the United States of America. Take a look.
You are second in line for the presidency. Has the White House contacted you about the continuity of government?
No, they haven't, but that is an ongoing, not with the White House, but with the military, quite frankly, in terms of some officials in the government.
So the next time that someone asks you for proof that the media is biased and just flat out evil, show them that clip. You just witnessed not only the leader of the Democratic Party, but the mainstream media fantasizing about the prospect, the possibility that President Donald Trump would die. And Nancy Pelosi was sitting right there for the question. Now, let me be clear. I do not blame Speaker Pelosi for the question that she was asked by that reporter. I do, however, blame her for not criticizing the anchor for asking such an evil and inappropriate question. She's the Speaker of the House and the leader of the Democratic Party. Now, let's also be clear that Pelosi is not the only person on the left that is wishing ill will on President Trump. Just take a look at what Joe Biden had to say. Of course, he pretended to take the high road with his campaign because they said, we're going to remove negative ads from the campaign while President Donald Trump is in the hospital. Yet, during an NBC town hall, Joe Biden had this to say while the president was in the hospital.
A recent poll said 65% of Americans think the president bears some responsibility for contracting this virus. Do you agree?
Look, anybody who contracts the virus by essentially saying masks don't matter, social distancing doesn't matter, I think is responsible for what happens to them.
That's right. Joe Biden just blamed the president of the United States of America, who's in the hospital fighting COVID-19 at that moment. They blamed him for actually getting the virus, saying it's pretty much his fault. Not only did the left blame the president for getting COVID, but we also saw them rooting on coronavirus. Filmmaker Michael Moore tweeted this out, a darling of the left, of course. He said that poor virus got sucked into his body and is now trapped there. How can it escape? ? He wants to use it as a prop. See this China flu? I beat it, just like I'll beat Biden. They're both a hoax. My thoughts and prayers, too, are with COVID-19. That's right, not with the president who's fighting the virus. The left is sending well wishes to COVID-19, hoping that COVID-19 will kill the president of the United States of America. Now, the left cannot help but fantasize about this horrific virus taking down our president. In fact, their hatred is so great that the Washington Post opinion writer and MSNBC contributor Jennifer Rubin tweeted this, which she has apparently now deleted. Take a look at the tweet. Congress might want to defund Walter Reed. It is a public health hazard. Now, to be clear, and she knows this is a hospital that saves the lives of the men and women who fight and defend our country. This is how much the left hates our president and also our troops. Trump was the first one to step up and do something to battle the virus by shutting down travel to and from China back at the beginning of the year. And remember what the media said about him then. They called him xenophobic for shutting down flights from China. So now the left is blaming him for the virus and claims that it's his fault that he got the virus. My point is the media, as well as the politicians in Washington, can't have it both ways. Now, what I can tell you is that we at AMAC are actually praying for our president and those around him who have gotten COVID-19 to make a full recovery, as well as every other American dealing with this disease. Now, as for those wishing for Donald Trump's death, they should hear from all of us soon on Election Day as to how much we disapprove of their actions. I've seen a lot of pretty disgusting things in politics over my lifetime of dealing with this subject. I've never seen anything as disgusting as what we witnessed when the president was leaving the White House to be treated at Walter Reed Military Hospital. The left was hoping that when he walked out to get on Marine One to go be treated for COVID-19, that they were witnessing the last time that he'd ever stepped foot inside the White House, hoping for his death. Yes, they are beyond angry now that he has survived. So now they've got to figure out a new way to attack Donald Trump. And now they're doing it this way. They're attacking Trump for being optimistic about the fight against a disease that he is literally fighting still as we speak. Now, he said this after arriving home from Walter Reed Hospital. Take a look.
I just left Walter Reed Medical Center, and it's really something very special. The doctors, the nurses, the first responders, and I learned so much about coronavirus. And one thing that's for certain, don't let it dominate you. Don't be afraid of it. You're going to beat it. We have the best medical equipment. We have the best medicines, all developed recently. And you're going to beat it. I didn't feel so good. And 2 days ago, I could have left 2 days ago. 2 days ago, I felt great, like better than I have in a long time. I said just recently, better than 20 years ago. Don't let it dominate. Don't let it take over your lives. Don't let that happen. We have the greatest country in the world. We're going back to work. We're going to be out front. As your leader, I had to do that. I knew there's danger to it, but I had to do it. I stood out front. I led. Nobody that's a leader would not do what I did. And I know there's a risk, there's a danger, but that's okay. And now I'm better, and maybe I'm immune. I don't know. But don't let it dominate your lives.
If you are offended by what the president just said, you've got a problem. You hate the president more than you actually care about the reality of COVID-19. The president is right in what he just said. Yes, this virus is horrible. But we as a nation cannot let it dominate our lives and have fear over everything we need to do and accomplish. We need to take precautions, which is exactly what the president's been talking about. But rather than focusing on the positives, the positive that the president of the United States of America is back home from the hospital, the left decided we need a new controversy. We need something to be angry at Donald Trump for doing, of course. And they found that moment when he decided to take his mask off outside of his home. They then went on to tell all Americans in what seems to be a coordinated attack from all media channels that he's going to get us all killed because he's optimistic in his tweet about not letting the virus control our lives. Take a look at this coordinated attack by all the media channels saying that Donald Trump should have never taken that mask off and he's a terrible person for doing it.
President Trump wrote on Twitter, "Don't be afraid of COVID. Don't let it dominate your life." Almost 210,000 Americans are dead.
Speaking of outrageous, this outrageous tweet.
Oh, my goodness, Nicole. When I saw that Trump, I literally was overwhelmed.
And now we see this tweet, which is heartless. It is cruel.
Jake, this is so disrespectful. I'm not even sure I can speak about this. It's incredibly disrespectful. What does that mean? Don't be afraid of it. I mean, first of all, it's a contagious disease that kills people. There's nowhere to even begin. It's gross.
It's such a distressing moment.
It's just so horrible, so destructive to say I feel better than I have in 20 years.
That he's saying this is so disrespectful.
The president says it's no big deal. I mean, it's outrageous.
It is insulting to the people who have lost loved ones. It is insulting to every American who wears a mask. I mean, it's disgraceful, Wolf. It's absurd.
Don't tell your supporters, don't be afraid of COVID. Everyone should be afraid of COVID.
What you are witnessing from the media right now is what I call depression. The media is depressed. They're depressed that Donald Trump didn't die from COVID-19. Then they became even more depressed that he came back to the White House. Then they got even more depressed when the president sent a message of hope to all Americans about our fight against this terrible disease. And now the media says that Trump is evil for doing this. And the media are not the only ones that are wishing ill will on President Trump. Leftists like Maxine Waters are flat out saying that if you don't wear a mask and you get COVID-19, then it's on you and you deserve what you get. However, I want you to take a look at what, well, Maxine Waters did when she thought no one was watching her, and it deals with a mask that she's demanding all of us wear everywhere. Take a look.
You're speaking about COVID. I don't even see you guys with your mask on. I see your
I'm just coming out of here.
But I don't.
And my mask in both of these places.
But you got to have your mask on, right?
Yeah, that's right. That's right. That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. We got our mask.
Hold on a second. Where is the media? Why aren't you going wall-to-wall coverage on Maxine Waters putting all of your lives at risk, trying to kill everybody by not wearing a mask out in public? Oh, wait, she's a Democrat. I forgot. Never mind, none of that applies. So when President Donald Trump removes his mask at his home, when he's on the balcony of his own home, he's trying to kill all of us. They're demanding you and the president wear a mask, even if you are outside of your home. But they don't seem to follow their own rules they demand on you. Just remember, Governor Cuomo was caught not wearing a mask in public. New York City Mayor Bill de Blasio was caught in Central Park not wearing a mask when he demanded everybody else wear one as well. And media figures, including George Stephanopoulos, well, while he actually had COVID-19, he was caught walking outside, you guessed it, without a mask as well. And don't forget, Chris Cuomo, you know, the guy that was hanging out in his basement while he had COVID-19, except there's one problem. He was only hanging out there when the cameras were rolling. In fact, he was caught out in the Hamptons, COVID positive, not wearing a mask. But nevertheless, all of these liberals are attacking President Trump for taking his mask off before he walks inside the place he lives, all for political gain. Now, let's be clear. We here at AMAC send our thoughts and prayers to the president, his family, and all of those who have contracted COVID-19. We cannot let the left win and use this virus to do it. We must give our president the greatest victory we've ever seen in November, because right now the left, they're doing everything they can to use the president and COVID-19 to try to make sure he doesn't get to lead this country after the November elections. From the media obsessing over Donald Trump taking his mask off and then hoping that he dies, to now the president saying, guess what? I'm going on offense. I'm going to allow you to see all the notes that dealt with the spying on my campaign. Joining me now to break all this down is Bob Carlstrom. He's the president of AMAC Action. Bob, you got four major issues right now. You have a Supreme Court justice nomination going on. You have the president fighting COVID and the media who's hoping he's going to die all at the same time. And then we get this new tweet out that says, guess what? I'm going to show you everything that was going on under the Obama administration and how they were spying on my campaign. Let's start with that. This is huge breaking news right before the election.
Thank you, Ben. I think this is really the smoking gun. It's probably another smoking gun in terms of the corruption by the prior administration and their efforts to sabotage the candidacy of Donald Trump. I think it's absolutely disgraceful, that administration, those senior level, really engaged in spying on the opposing party's candidate. It really is inexcusable. Indeed, it's criminal.
It's going to be interesting to see how this continues to fall out, because he's saying we're going to give this information unredacted so that you can actually see what the individual players, Clapper and Brennan and the former FBI director, James Comey, what they were saying, Peter Strzok and others. That is now going to make a very clear, I think, line to former President Barack Obama and former vice president, presidential contender, Joe Biden.
I think that's absolutely right. It goes all the way up the chain, to the Oval Office in terms of that kind of corruption, that kind of abuse of power. And clearly, I would hope that the U.S. attorneys and the Attorney General would begin to actively intervene in terms of referring these matters to a grand jury for potential indictments. I think it's absolutely shameful that the Vice President, at that time, Vice President Biden, was indeed engaged in that, and here we go again with more and more twisted commentary from them in terms of their involvement in it. It's a shameful and shameless behavior on their part.
Bob, I want to pivot to the other obviously shocking news, and that is the President of the United States of America got COVID-19 and is still fighting it. This is something that the left has really gone pure evil on, fantasizing live on TV about the President of the United States of America dying. In one of the very first interviews after the President announced he had COVID-19, the Speaker of the House, Nancy Pelosi, was asked by MSNBC if they had been contacted by the White House about the continuity of government, implying that he could die. And they seem to be rejoicing in this idea that this could actually happen. I've never seen anything like this on the media, and I've seen a lot from the media. But to the point where you're fantasizing about the president dying, I was truly taken aback by this.
Absolutely right, Ben. That is absolutely disgraceful behavior on the part of the speaker. Just absolutely abominable, and it should never have happened. And I think it just goes to demonstrate, the objectives of that whole group is to not only govern but to rule. They've continually resented Trump since he was first nominated. Believing that even the Republicans on that side felt that they had a divine right to the nomination as well. And here we have a president, who is a populist president elected by the people overall. And then when you see this kind of shameful behavior from leaders wishing the death of a very successful presidency and president, it really is very embarrassing.
One other thing that I think was just showed the pure disdain and hatred and evilness of the media was when the president actually was getting better quickly to the point where he could go back to the White House. He stands up on that balcony after walking up those stairs to let everyone know how well he was doing, to let the world and our adversaries know, don't screw with us. I'm still in charge. I'm going to be okay. And they sit there and they lose their minds over the fact the president took his mask off and tweeted out, "Don't be afraid of COVID. We're going to deal with this. We're going to beat it. Don't let it control your life." I would argue that is a tweet about hope and getting back to the most new normal we can find with COVID. And yet they say that the president was irresponsible and that he was mocking those that have died from COVID, which is absurd. Yet that is the media narrative they're spinning all over the country right now. And it's having an effect, we've seen the polls, on specifically women in this country who think that Donald Trump went too far. What do you think?
Well, no, absolutely not. Donald Trump is a leader, and he does what he does to demonstrate to the American people that we can survive, that yes, indeed, we can even overcome, this pandemic that China gave us. I applaud his courage on doing that. Note that he walked up the stairs to the second floor after getting out of the hospital, took his mask off, took questions, spoke to the American people. That's leadership. That's courage. He's a tough guy, and America really needs to get tough and deal with this head on, just as our president has illustrated and been an example for us.
The president's taking it from all sides, and he still seems to be very focused on getting the next Supreme Court, his nominee, onto the Supreme Court before Election Day. I know that's something that AMAC Action is really continuing to work on. People need to watch for the emails and updates from you guys. And Bob, I really appreciate it. Thank you for coming on today and keeping us updated on everything going on with AMAC Action.
Glad to be with you, Ben. Thank you.
Once again, a big thank you to Bob Carlstrom and all the hard work he is doing as the president of AMAC Action, which also reminds me to tell you this. If you have not joined AMAC or renewed your AMAC membership, right now before this election that's just weeks away, your membership is important. We are fighting right now in Washington to make sure that the president gets this Supreme Court nomination on the court with Judge Barrett. We need your help. So please make sure that you join AMAC or renew your membership right now. I'm Ben Ferguson, and I'll see you back here next week for our next episode.